Welcome to Average Joe's Fantasy Sports Podcast, where we bring you news, notes, and more to help you win your championship fantasy football league. Stay tuned and listen in for the great information we have for you today. Welcome to another episode of Average Joe's Fantasy Sports Podcast.
What?
Man, oh man. We gotta feel bad for Scott kind of today. He's kind of struggling right now. Every time he comes over as of recent, his allergies flare up. He got this new used couch, and apparently
It's the real deal.
Scott, it's been pretty consistent since he's been coming over.
Puffy eyes like a mother trucker.
Yeah, man, it's wild. I don't know what's
is.
going on. So if he sneezes a lot or, passes out or, his head explodes.
I'll be fine. If I pass out, I'm fine.
Just the reason. I didn't kill him.
It's on camera.
This is on tape right here, right?
It's on tape.
Exactly.
It's all good.
This is the evidence I need to get away. So, poison his ass. So we're gonna continue on. We're gonna start with the Philadelphia-Chicago game, part 2 of the Week 12 recap here that we're working on. Boom, boom, boom.
We are.
That's how you get it right, Scott. Just so you know.
Ooh. Well, I had the allergies yesterday. We just didn't explain it. So.
Yeah, but we didn't use that as an excuse yesterday. You only get one, so stop it.
I might.
Now, let's jump down to bum, bum, bum.
Do we want to go to the best team in the league?
No. Nah. Let's jump down to Chicago.
Okay.
Because there's no fantasy value. Even with Jordan Howard, there is no fantasy value. He has 6 rushing yards. He had only 2 catches, the total 13 yards.
It's garbage.
Philadelphia's defense is for real. And we don't talk about defenses a lot, but if you're going to start one, Philadelphia is one you should start.
Yes. Very true.
Because they ball out. It's ridiculous.
Very true.
And then we have Mitchell Trubisky, who can't do anything. 147 and 2 picks. I mean, this whole team right here, there's not a good receiver you're going to use. You're not basically using anybody on this team.
Wow.
In your starting lineup, maybe Jordan Howard, but it's hard to trust when the offense plays like this.
Well, Dontrell Inman looks like your only good guy, but he really didn't do much either.
No.
4 for 9 for 64 yards. 10.5 fantasy points, but that's it. Do not grab anybody from this team at all. At all. Well, they were playing against this team, so
Ridiculous. Now let's go down to the Eagles. The truth. Carson Wentz, man. I mean, ridiculous. The skills.
Thank you, Corey.
The timing.
Thank you.
The whatever. I mean, this man's talent is unreal. So he went 22 of 36, 227, and 3 touchdowns. Doesn't even need that high yards. He just needs to get enough.
Still help me in fantasy league.
I mean, it's because he's legit.
And I hope it helped everybody else too that had Carson Wentz in their league. If you benched him, you should probably quit.
I benched him.
You should probably quit.
Huh. I benched him. That's crazy. But for some reason, I'm on a 10-game winning streak in that league.
You got lucky. You paid everybody else to let you in. That's how it works.
That wouldn't even add up to me winning the league then. I'd be negative. That wouldn't even be worth it at the end. Well, Scott, you're a real good detective, except you're not.
I hope everybody was just laughing there because that was pretty dang good. That was good.
Nonsense. Rushing game, though, LeGarrette took this one, 15 rushing attempts, 97 yards.
Yeah?
Must be because J.J. got gassed.
He did.
Yeah. He had that one big 30-yard run. He got chased down.
He's at a 70 overall of running, so... I mean, they put that on Madden, so...
Word. Right? But man, everybody rushed well. Even Carson Wentz, 5 of 29. Corey Clement, 4 of 27. Everybody was over 5 yards per carry, except for Nick Foles, who doesn't count. But everybody else was over 5 yards per carry. I mean, this team is so good that they can just put Nick Foles and let him finish out the game.
It's awesome.
It is. And now you got the receivers for Philadelphia. Zach Ertz, 10 receptions, 103 yards, 1 TD. I mean,
the savior.
Ridiculous.
I have Carson Wentz.
This is his breakout year, and it is unreal.
It's awesome. It's awesome to have him in my lineup and know that I don't have to change out my tight end only when it was on a bye week.
Right.
So I have a Carson Wentz and a Zach Ertz as a combination on my.
It is a good combo. Now we got 5 of 52 from Alshon Jeffrey with a score, 32, and a score for Nelson Aguilar. 3 receptions, 32 yards, 1 score. It's kind of the usuals, you know, the same people getting them touchdowns, getting that work. So if you have them, if you have people in the offense, might as well fire them up with confidence because there's no reason not to.
Why not? Exactly. They're on a.
They're on a tear. They are just on a tear. That's wild.
It's awesome.
It really is. I mean, you got, what was it? Zach Ertz was 16.3, Nelson Aguilar 15.2, Alshon 11.2. That's good, man. It's very good.
It's just amazing.
You're amazing.
Oh, I tried.
You succeed, bro. You succeed. Now let's go down to Miami, New England.
Ugh.
Why ugh? So I think that was one of the greatest games of all time. I don't know what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. I mean, you win stomped with 35-17. Matt Moore is better as a relief quarterback than a starter. He's terrible as a starter. Absolutely terrible.
Oh man.
He's horrendous.
He was like Drew Stanton.
23 of 34, 215, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Oh gosh. Why? Why are you so bad?
It's really bad.
Now, Damian Williams left this game, so Kenyon Drake's basically your only option, guys.
Yep.
I'm sorry. There's like nobody else in Miami to run the ball.
Nope. They made a huge mistake by letting J.J. go.
Now the running game's falling apart. Kenyon Drake's the home run hitter who can't hit home runs.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Sad day. So, yeah, but Kenyon Drake, 9 rushes, 20 yards. Doesn't help you much.
The only thing that sort of helped you was in the receiving. He was 3 for 4 for 27, and he got that touchdown. But that's it. 11.5 fantasy points. I mean, what can you say about that? It's decent. It helps you, but you'd like to see more.
We'll see what happens, though. Now you're getting all the work, so we might have more fantasy value.
It's true.
But back to the receivers. Jarvis Landry gets his 8 receptions, 70 yards. This is Jarvis Landry. You know, his receptions and his target total always keep him up in there. I believe he's one of the most targeted players in the league, if I'm correct. I think he was 3rd on the list. I can actually look that up real quick.
He's the only target there now. They only use him.
Yeah, they always forget about Devontae Parker and Kane Stills. Everybody was hyped on.
They really do.
You can't follow that stuff, man. He's not. He is the 3rd most targeted with 117 targets. So it's ridiculous how much he's targeted, but how nothing comes out of it.
It really is.
I mean, something comes out of it enough for him anyway.
You got 2 great wide receivers you could be using. They just need Miami is like Cleveland.
Why is that?
They just can't. They can't put a good team out on the field.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, it would probably be different if Ryan Tannehill was in. They would probably be winning a little bit more games.
Yeah, it actually looks like Ryan Tannehill is the better quarterback, and he's got a great situation. People are going to be praying for him to come back. They're going to be really wanting. So we'll see what happens next year. Now let's go down to the New England side of things. Brandon Cooks, for all you Brandon Cooks owners, happiest 6 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. So I don't know how you could not be happy about that. That's what you guys drafted him for. So you thought he'd be a threat. Ooh, I gotta change this to PPR. That's why I was getting these numbers weird. There we go. So 21.4 fantasy points for Brandon Cooks. Awesome day. You're very happy about that if you hadn't started him. Gronkowski.
Your boy.
Yeah, no.
Your boy.
25.2 fantasy points.
Got that 2 touches.
5. 82. 2 touchdowns. A Gronky to remember.
Yeah, I know. That's in the Pac-12. So.
A Gronky to remember, Corey.
You beat Corey in that one, right?
Yes.
By the Monday night game, you only had, 4 players left? That was it?
Yeah, just 4.
And
I was only down 4 points. Because Gronkowski, Keenan Allen, and actually, surprisingly, Andy Dalton, who had 25 fantasy points.
Yeah, but what you told me off air was it's against Cleveland.
I know. That's why it was a good play.
It was.
Picked him off waivers, started him, 25 fantasy points.
Take it.
In our league scoring, it's 25.
Yeah.
6 points per touchdown. And
I love it.
But yeah, no, it was great. It's perfect. Also, Tom Brady balled out as well. I mean, he had, 3
He
touchdowns?
did, but I saw a couple tears in his eyes, though.
4 TDs.
He was getting hit a little bit. He was whining for calls, so.
Yeah, he was getting hit a lot. And they didn't call a lot of them, which was good.
Yeah.
Because they were actually good shots. So, I don't know what they'd be crying about. But 8 of 28, 227, 4 TDs, and only 1 pick. And a fumble. But,
He did. Still gave you great points.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Brady played. I mean, he usually plays very well, and right there he did. So I'm not mad about Tom Brady's overall performance.
If you have this guy, I would.
Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, depending on what whoever they play against, it doesn't matter anyways, because they might win. But it's if they use him. Rex Burkhead. He's like the new running back for that team.
Deion Lewis balled out. Deion Lewis on 15 rushing attempts at 112 yards. He had 7.5 yards per carry.
But it's against Miami, though.
I get that, but Deion Lewis has been the starting running back, and Rex Burkhead will be the number 2.
There's no Gillis.
He is the number 2. James White's actually taking the back seat now because Rex Burkhead's playing so well. They're trying to figure out how to use him, but they can't.
Yeah.
So
Rex Burkhead went 13 rushes for 50 yards and a touch. And then he also was in the receiving game. He was 2 for 2 for only 3 yards and also a touchdown. So 19.5 fantasy points gets you pretty well. But if you have him on your bench like I did, you're kind of a little upset about it. But not also because I did win both my leagues.
What?
Very good. So
No,
I'm okay with that.
No, you didn't. Stop it. You want nothing. You want nothing! I'm just playing. You did win more Phillies. But I won 3, so I'm even cooler. What? Why you gotta give me that attitude, yo? I don't know what's your deal. You just jealous because I'm winning more leagues, technically. Yeah, it's fine. It's cool. You know, I get it. I get the jealousy.
See, look, my teams in both leagues are fairly neck and neck.
No, but which one of those are 10-2? On a 10-game win streak. Please tell me which one.
None.
Oh, none? Oh, cool. Good talk. Glad we had it. That's what I thought.
But like I'm trying to say is I am 8-4-1, and then I think it was 7-5 in the other one. Pretty good. I'm in the playoffs in both leagues. I'm third place in both.
See, here I am. I'm 8-4, 6-6, 10-2.
Take out the 6-6. Who cares? You're garbage in the standard league.
6-6 is not the standard league.
Oh.
That's the 8-4.
Oh, then take away from Pac-12 then, because you suck.
You did beat me.
I did. My
I
first
did beat
win.
you.
Moving on.
by 0.9 points.
Moving on.
Got it.
We're gonna go to San Fran and the Seattle game. Both games that are just garbage.
Yeah, so we'll fly through this one because this one was a dud for anybody who watched it. It was extremely boring, except for Jimmy Garoppolo's solo touchdown in his first game. That was pretty cool. He's gonna be the future on that one play.
An update, which you guys probably already know, because if you have updates on leagues and stuff, Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously starting because CJ Beathard, whatever they call him, hurt his leg, so he's pretty much done. So,
yeah.
But we'll get to that. Carlos Hyde was your highest player with points. He rushed 16 times for 47. Reception-wise, he was 7 for 13 and 21 yards. No touchdowns in either one, but still gave you about 14 fantasy points.
Yep.
PPR standings. Marquise Goodwin. I have mad respect for this guy now. Mad respect. Also, second highest, gave you about 12 fantasy points. He was 4 for 6 for 78. But, I mean, it's CJ, so now that they have Jimmy, I think they're going to see the
change around. Yeah.
I think
he's just he's got nothing to lose, man. He's there.
He's making a name for himself right now.
Yeah, and so his values might actually go up a little bit. Yeah. So, but now let's go to the Seahawks. Yeah. Russell Wilson, 228 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 25 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 3 total TDs. Gives you 23.6 fantasy points. Russell Wilson's basically been scoring.
Dude.
He's been consistent.
With that terrible offensive line, he still finds ways to get out and throw it.
There's been certain plays where he looks good, and he's already running because he thinks it's not good. That's where his mental's at right now.
It's crazy.
He's destroyed out there. Paul Richardson showed up 4 for 70. He was the highest receiver on that with 11 fantasy points.
He was.
Now it goes to Jimmy Graham as far as tight ends go. 3 for 30. 3 receptions, 34 yards, and a touchdown. Every week seems like he just gets a touchdown. Yep. So, at least.
Go to guy.
So, 12.4 fantasy points for Jimmy. And then another touchdown went to Nick Van Nett, the third string, second string, 12th string. I don't know.
Whatever.
He had 10.9 fantasy points. But I wouldn't look into that too much.
Nope.
Moving on from that game, because, we don't really care about them too much.
Biggest disappointment was Doug Baldwin.
Ooh, excuse me.
He was barely involved in that game. You'd think he would go off, but gave you only 4 fantasy points.
Word.
Garbage.
Let's talk about the Saints. Let's talk about the Rams and how fun that game was to watch, actually.
It was probably one of the best games to watch.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Let's start with the Saints side.
Okay.
Drew Brees, baby.
He actually got a touchdown this week.
He did.
It's crazy. But somehow, some way, I don't understand why his...
Isn't it crazy once Alvin Kamara gained a touchdown?
Oh my gosh. If we had the highlights right now, that... Dude, the guy won't
dancing
go down.
around.
He won't
dancing,
go down.
Moving, running people over, whatever the case may be. He does it all. He's a speed back. He's a receiving back. He's a hard-hitting back. I mean, take your pick. But yeah, so Drew Brees, 22 completions on 32 attempts, 246, 1 score. And that score went to Alvin Kamara, who completely balled out. I mean, he had 6 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. To go along with 5 rushes for 87 yards and another touchdown.
Dude, just like he's like Todd Gurley.
He's better than Todd Gurley as of stats wise.
Yeah.
I should say overall, Todd Gurley I think has the most yards from scrimmage, if I'm correct. But
yes, as a rim. Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's not that far. Let me tell you what. Kamara looks explosive, and his speed, his acceleration is ridiculous. But enough drooling over that man. Ted Ginn got re-involved again. 7 receptions, 74 yards. So you got 14.1 fantasy points from him. So that's pretty cool. You're pretty happy about that. You started him. Not mad about that. Michael Thomas, 552, 10.2 fantasy points. You're not happy about that, but his floor has been double digits all season, so
Yep.
They'll take that. Now, for you Mark Ingram people, obviously don't sweat it. Mark Ingram's game will be back. It's not anything to worry about. He's a very talented running back.
It was actually
when Kamara was just making better plays. So
it was actually against a really tough defense.
They can't plan for both of them. So just so happened to be Kamara's day. Next week could easily be Mark Ingram's day.
They literally do that there. Sean Payton will always pick and choose.
Ooh, start your studs here.
So
nice. Let's go down to the Rams. Jared Goff, 352 passing yards, and he had 2 passing touchdowns with 1 pick. It's kind of an ugly pick, but you learn.
I didn't see the pick, but that's okay. We had like 6 games going on, so.
Oh yeah, I know. And then you got Todd Gurley, another stud getting involved. 74 rush yards, 4 receptions on 7 targets, and 54 receiving yards.
Yep.
He was doing work. He was looking good again.
Yep.
Todd Gurley has been playing well this year, kind of rejuvenated in this offense.
I'm glad
4.4 yards per carry. Me too. I like Todd Gurley. I didn't think he was as bad as everybody was making him out to be. A lot of people have a sophomore slump. It's third-year time, and boom, he's out of it.
And I'm also happy for this new wide receiver that came in from that trade. Sammy,
yeah, 4 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Now, with Robert Woods not playing, he actually stepped up to the plate and got involved. They actually called some plays for him, so let's see if that carries on when Woods comes back. That's going to be the big thing is when Woods comes back, how's that going to turn out?
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
You get over there, you dying?
I'm like, dude, my nose is just running, dude.
You use the Yahoo page. Way better. This is all jumbled around everywhere.
Not necessarily.
It really is. So, some people don't learn. It's cool. Some people just don't learn. Don't learn. I'm just kidding. It's all good. You do you. Cooper Kupp, though, as well. 8 for 116. I mean, that's good for you, Cooper Kupp. I know you dropped some big passes in your career already, but he made some incredible ones this game. That sideline catch to bail Jared Goff out.
Yes.
And grabbed it and toe tapped
that was a good catch.
An excellent catch. So Cooper Kupp, you have a great future.
Look,
you got your big drops out, and now it's only uphill from there.
Seriously, guys, subscribe to us. Seriously, because even in the off season, we're still going to be doing a lot of research. We're still going to be talking about what players to pick up in the next season. And this team, the Rams team, is explosive.
They got tons of talent.
If you're worried about it now, wait until next season. There'll be
more game film up, but there's tons of talent here. So
for real, guys, real.
We're gonna go kind of rapid fire through these next few games here.
Let's do it.
So we got Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Arizona Cardinals. We have Blake Bortles, 160 passing yards, 1 INT. They had 62 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And his second one was pretty killer. Took a fake handoff and just went to the house, fought through. I mean, it was pretty cool.
I don't care.
I was super impressed by that.
I'm not impressed.
Look, man, I don't like some of these quarterbacks, but between him and Joe Flacco taking chances, going on those runs, I don't even like Tom Brady, but when I give credit, I'll give credit where credit's due.
Correct.
And you have to do that.
Why not give it to Leonard Fournette?
Well, that doesn't even bother me. I mean, that's what they expected, and they were actually shutting that down. So, you got to improvise, and Blake Bortles was the improvision. So, there you go. That's what comes out of it. And then TJ Yeldon actually got more involved, which is sad. Probably playing from chase down mode. He was 5 receptions, 42 yards, and then he had 10 rushing yards to go along with that. So he had 10.2 fantasy points, which is pretty good for a back if you just need a filler or something like that. It is what it is. Now, going down to the Cardinals. Tell you something about these Cardinal stats. That'll be fun.
Well, if I get to the Cardinals.
Well, this is why you do it my way. All right, so Blaine Gabbert, 241 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, with 1 pick and 1 fumble.
He looked
not terrible though. 17.3 fantasy points. He didn't look bad. He actually did not. So it was actually kind of impressive. Adrian Peterson finished the day with 79 rushing yards, 4 receptions and 20 receiving yards, which is crazy. I don't see that many
he was
receptions.
very involved in this game.
He was.
This guy, this new tight end, is taking over. He's taking over because Blaine Gabbert loves this guy, Ricky Seals-Jones. I see this being an every week situation. If you actually want to pick this guy up, I would highly recommend it because he was 4 for 6, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown. Gave you 17 fantasy points.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the Jerome Brown, it's 1 reception, 52-yard bomb, and a touchdown. Blah, 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 blah.
Right, that was just a bomb because he was open.
Those are those, yeah.
But they took a shot downfield because why not? They were crawling back in the game because they were at that point. I think it was tied. It was 17-16, so they had to score. And so they scored, and then they had to go for the 2-point conversion to be up by at least a touchdown. So then, of course, Jacksonville came back, and the Cardinals won. So we don't have to go through all that. But so we're going to this game?
Yeah, we are. So here we go. Denver Broncos, Oakland Raiders. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Paxton Lynch injury. Doesn't really matter. Sorry, I hope you get better. I hope you start sooner in the future because I know you being a tall, lanky man. I'm sure you're very injury prone, but Trevor Siemian's the new starter. He's going to be the starter. It'll be Brock Osweiler as the number 2. Trevor Siemian 14.9 fantasy points. You're not impressed. You're probably not starting him. Although I believe they play Miami this upcoming week, so it's in Miami. But I mean, Miami's terrible, so maybe you would stream him. You know, maybe he comes and just starts throwing the ball and throwing the rock and slinging it downfield.
You could.
You got nothing else to lose now, Trevor. You went all the way down to number 3. So we'll see what happens. But he got 2 scores out of the game, so you know he pulled something out of his butt.
He did.
And then so we're going down to Cody Latimer, who actually got one of the scores. 3 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown. But you're not really looking for anything from him. And then Benny Fowler was the other one. Demarius and Emmanuel had bad games, but they're your number 1s and 2s. It's just how you're gonna look at it, and that will probably go up, especially for EJ or Emmanuel Sanders, because Trevor Siemian loves throwing that way for some reason. They love throwing downfield to him, chucking it up, letting him go play for it. So and it'll probably be a bump up for Emmanuel. It'll probably be close to the same for Demarius. He might end up with 5 for 50 and maybe a score out of that. So we'll see what it comes to next week. Now we're going down to the Oakland Raiders.
Your highest running back, Marshawn Lynch, he was involved a lot. They were saying that he was going to be involved. Gave you 20 fantasy points. He rushed 26 times for 67 yards and a touchdown. And he also was in the receiving games for 3 for 3 for 44 yards. So that's the Marshawn Lynch you're wanting. It took 12 freaking weeks to do it, but we got to win out of it, which is good. Derek Carr, I can't explain on what's going on with him. I really can't. 18 for 24, 253, 2 touchdowns. Rushed 3 times, but for -3. And then also a fumble loss. So gave you about almost 16 fantasy points. Jalen Richard was your second. Gave you 11 fantasy points. He received 2 for 2, 13 and 1 touchdown, so that's not bad. So the Michael Crabtree and Keep Talib, I have updates right now. Just loading up on my phone as we speak.
Suspended for 2 games.
They reduced it down to 1 game for both.
Wow.
Keep Talib and Michael Crabtree have only gotten 1 game suspensions.
Well,
so that's to look forward to if you're an owner. Amari Cooper, he was
injured.
1 for 1, 9 yards and that 1 touchdown.
Injured.
And then injured. So
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So we see what he's in the concussion protocol. So we'll see what happens. Now moving on, Green Bay, Pittsburgh.
This one was actually pretty exciting.
It was. Brett Hundley played well. We'll start with the Packers side since we already brought it in.
UCLA, boy.
Sure. 245, 3 touchdowns.
Let's go. That against Pittsburgh's defense, though.
Played well.
Pittsburgh defense is pretty good.
Yes. Cobb scored. Adams scored. Jamal Williams scored. Those are the 3 touchdowns. Excellent. So here's the thing that you notice: you can start Devontae Adams, You can start Randall Cobb.
Yep.
You can't start Jordy.
I don't understand that.
Me neither.
I don't understand that. He has weapons for days.
Well, he used them. He just didn't use all of them. Jordy did not get very involved. 3 receptions for 11 yards. So, that is what it is. But 19 points from Devontae Adams, 15.8 for Randall Cobb. Jamal Williams, 4 yards per carry, but that's fine, like 3.2. But had 29.5 fantasy points. You don't care as long as he gets the workload. And he gets crazy workload.
That was a great workload that he got.
Yeah. Brett Hundley finished with 22.4 fantasy points. So, again, happy about that. You're not mad about it, That is what it is.
To me, a lot of people would step away from Brett Hundley because he's a backup and it was against Pittsburgh.
But it's the year of backups, though. It is the year of backups.
It literally is, bro. It literally is.
It's wild.
It's very wild. It's kind of weird. I don't really like how this year is gone.
I mean, you got Fitzpatrick, Tom Savage, who's starter, then backup, then back to starter. I mean, and it doesn't make any sense. You got
Denver. We just
Case Keenum, Denver.
Like
it doesn't make. Now Geno Smith is gonna be coming in, so you got New York, San Francisco. You got that going on.
Dude, it's crazy.
I mean, I don't understand. Brett Hundley, obviously, like.
It's crazy, yeah. Miami, if you said it already.
Yeah, Miami. Miami is the year of backups.
It's hard. It's hard to.
It really is hard.
Football, but
yeah, but some of them are playing well now. They're just having fun, going out there and having fun. It's just kind of crazy.
Yep.
So now let's go down to Pittsburgh, baby. Now Big Ben, another good game, another good outing from Big Ben. When he's on, he's on. 351 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, 30.5 fantasy points, and 2 of those touchdowns went to Antonio Brown. Excuse me.
Yeah.
10 receptions. 169 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Only person that passed him up was Julio Jones.
Antonio Brown lovers, man. You are a happy.
This is what you've been waiting for. This is what you've been waiting for. Le'Veon Bell came into play. He had 12 receptions, 88 yards, 95 rushing yards.
Saved you in one league.
Did. Those 28 points came in handy. I came back for the win. Martavis Bryant actually got a score of 4 receiving yards and a touchdown. Without Juju Smith, he still goes back to number 2 role. It was good to see. It is on a nice fade route. Very good fade route. So, I'm fine seeing that. Looks like him and Big Ben are hashing some of their ways. So, that's good. It's good to see.
Juju should be back by next week.
Now, the grand finale, the end game, the end times, the W by Baltimore, baby. Let's go. What up? Baltimore taking on whoever they were. The Houston Texans. Don't even matter.
Yeah.
Don't even matter. No big deal.
Did you see Tom Savage's press conference at the end?
No, I don't care about that fool.
It literally took 4 seconds. He walked into the room. There was no press people. He walked in, looked, walked out. It was golden.
Nobody cares about Tom Savage.
Golden.
Tom Savage is
it was great.
Ultimate doo-doo. Speaking of Savage, 252 passing yards, 2 INTs and a fumble, but still got DeAndre Hopkins involved with 125 of those passing yards and 7 receptions. So 19.5 for Hopkins, always gets involved, always figured out a way. Lamar Miller gets a score. He has a rushing touchdown and 51 rushing yards and 1 reception for 7 yards. So 12.8 doesn't kill you. Not great, but doesn't kill you. So
it helped you either way. So
yeah.
That's great.
Braxton Miller is the number 2, so if you're super desperate in a deep league, 9.3 fantasy points, 5 receptions, 43 yards. So
it's the Miller show.
Miller. Now, there's no real fantasy value here for the Ravens aside from Alex Collins. He's it. Or the defense. Well, mostly Alex Collins.
But would you still consider Mike Wallace being somewhat efficient?
Look, Joe Flacco's highest points for this year in a league where we have 6 points per touchdown,
right,
and 1 point per 20 yards, not 25 like most leagues,
right,
20 yards. His highest is only 20 fantasy points.
What to say about that? I don't know.
It's not good. Not good. Which then slows the value of the receivers. Yes, they can do well, though they can get 45 for a touchdown or 70 for a touchdown, yes, but you're not going to be relying on these guys going in a fantasy play. I'm sorry, you just cannot. Joe Flacco throws so timid that you cannot.
But it's not as bad as Eli.
That doesn't matter. Because that's like saying, I'm the least dumb person in the dumbest class in the world. You're still in the dumbest class in the world. That's the part you gotta understand.
Oh, dude.
So that's just how it is.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But yeah, Alex Collins 13.7 fantasy points, 60 rush yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 receptions for negative 0.3 yards, or 3 yards, whatever, not 0.3, but 3 yards.
That's because it was dink and dunk passes that they.
Yeah,
I hate those plays.
As far as the other value for people, yes, Mike Wallace played well, 548. But you're not relying on that. You have no intention of relying on that with Joe Flacco throwing the ball.
Well, it's mainly the play calls because we saw it last night.
It was like, very reserved.
Like what? 5 minutes left to go. Reserved. If Baltimore was playing against a decent team, or
they'd have to start throwing.
Well, not just that, but like the fact that if
they were down,
if Deshaun Watson was in, oh, you guys would have been smacked because the way they were dinking, dunking, and giving off, they were literally giving Houston the game. They literally was because
it was the defense that saved them, man.
It really was because with still 3 minutes left to go, instead of getting a first down, they gave it back to Houston to give them one more chance to come by and get another touchdown.
They did.
I was like, come on, what are you guys doing?
They don't know.
It's the play call.
It just doesn't make any sense. But that is the last game. That is the recap. Week 12, part 2. Bam, bam. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the injury update.
Yep.
Josh Gordon, everybody. If you can get him, get him.
Yes. Maybe Cleveland wins the one game this year now that they have Josh Gordon. They actually have another decent weapon. But how conditioned do you think?
I don't know, but he's jacked though. He's looking huge.
Really?
That's all I know. For a receiver, he's a pretty big receiver. He's going to be going out for the 50-50 balls. That's all I know. All Deshaun kind of needs someone just to go up and jump for him, and he'll go and do that.
Well, Corey Coleman was the one that did that, but he got injured his hand. So
right, but Corey Coleman's back, and the opposite side would probably be, why not just throw Josh Gordon? You got nothing else to lose. Say bye, Kenny Graham.
They literally have an offense. They literally do. If Deshaun Kaiser has his 2 wide receivers, he's getting
on paper they have an offense, but scheme wise, they're not using anybody.
Coaching.
Yeah,
I think it's the coaching.
Yeah,
but 2 good wide receivers. Right, I know. 2 wide receivers. You have Duke Johnson, that's considered another wide receiver, and you got Isaiah Crowell. I mean, that's good, right?
True. All right, y'all. Sorry for talking your ear off. Y'all want to move on to other things. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. We are out.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Average Joe's Fantasy Sports Podcast. We're back at it again. We are your lovely hosts. You got Corey right here in this GOAT jersey.
Yeah. I'm Jared. Y'all know.
And I'm Scott. Y'all know me.
Yeah, maybe.
And we're back at it this time to talk to y'all about injury notes, news, fantasy types. We'll even tell you basically guards, defensive players. I know it doesn't seem relevant, but it will be because